Hey, welcome to Celebrity Fan Stand. I'm your host, Tony, and today we have your podcast update. There's a lot of big announcements in the podcast world, starting off with Marc Maron calling to an end after 16 years his podcast, WTF. Take a listen.
We had a great run, and now basically it's time, folks. WTF is coming to an end. It's okay for things to end. And it really comes down to the fact that we've put up a new show every Monday and Thursday for almost 16 years, and we're tired, we're burnt out, and we are utterly satisfied with the work we've done. We've done great work, and this doesn't mean I'm never going to do something like this again. It doesn't mean I'll never, have talks like I do here or some kind of podcast at some point in time. But for now, we're just we're wrapping things up. It's okay.
Marc Maron obviously didn't start out in podcasting. He has been a successful stand-up comedian, and he's actually got a pretty impressive acting resume. So while he takes a break, we look forward to what he does next. Also ending their run is the See-Through podcast, ending after 126 episodes.
I'm sure you saw the title of this video and you wanted to click on it because you were like, what? The final episode? Yes, this is the final episode of the See-Through podcast. It's kind of surreal to say that, but I've been running this thing since May 2020. So it's been 5 years of my life, and it's been a great 5 years. So this is kind of sad. This is kind of a sad episode, but there's some happiness going to be sprinkled into this episode. Probably more happiness than sadness. So let's start with some happiness, and it kind of ties into the announcement part of that title in the video. Yes, I'm going to be a dad. My wife is pregnant and she's due in July. I'm making the call. The podcast is going on an indefinite hiatus, on top of, wanting to have time to spend with my family. There's kind of practical concerns. I live in a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, and with podcasting, you need a few things, and one of the main things you need is a quiet space to interview. And we will have a lot to kind of work around to kind of pull off continuing to make videos, but this is the only way forward that's possible, to be honest with you.
See-Through host Lance Johnson made the announcement a few days ago on his podcast.
But when it comes to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and any streaming platforms, you will not get any new material there. I do want to say that those episodes will stay up there. So you can always go to your favorite podcast platform and listen to any episodes. Go back and listen to old episodes you haven't heard yet. There's 126 of them. So that's always an option, but moving forward, that's kind of how it's going to work.
Now he has a rare incurable eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, or RP for short. In most cases, RP causes legal blindness by the age of 40. Now in his mid-30s, Lance uses See-Through his inevitable future blindness through conversations with his guests. And here's an announcement for anyone looking for a new comedy podcast. This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter, Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr is going to be launching a podcast, The Big Pitch with Jimmy Carr. Netflix, BBC Studios team up. The show is to give a glimpse behind the scenes of the movie pitching process. The comedian says the podcast will also be a good excuse to mess around with some very funny friends. Now this is a team effort by Netflix and BBC Studio. Here's a description. The Big Pitch with Jimmy Carr sees a parade of much-loved comedians pitch movie ideas to Jimmy, our skeptical host, which fit Netflix's most obscure subgenres. Guests are challenged to figure out the plot and cast under the pressure of Jimmy's withering gaze. At the end of the pitch, Jimmy decides whether to move to green light or condemn our guests and their dubious ideas to development hell. So there you go, a new podcast coming out with Jimmy Carr insulting people for their ideas. Sign me up. Okay. And once again, we send congratulations to Mr.Beast on reaching 400 million subscribers on YouTube. That is the most subscribers anyone has on the channel.
You can do it!
Mr.Beast reaches 400 400 million subscribers. In a post he wrote a decade ago before I blew up, everyone in my life told me I was too obsessed. I was called a freak and constantly told I'd never make it. Despite that, I just couldn't stop. Well, it looks like he hasn't stopped yet, and he's at 400 million subscribers. You did it. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Sid. Congratulations.
I have a feeling if anybody's going to reach 1 billion, it's probably going to be the Beast. So congratulations once again. That's pretty historical when you think about it. Speaking of history, do you know who the very first podcaster was? It was actually Adam Curry and Dave Weiner. They're the ones that are credited with the invention of podcasting. Who exactly did what is up for dispute, but in the end, these are the two guys who got things moving. And this is coming to you from internationalpodcastday.com. Podcast Historical Timelines. And this was in 2004. So when you think about it, that's barely cracking 20 years. We're just past 20 years. Hey, that's it for Celebrity Fan Stand Podcast Update for this week. I've been your host, Tony. If you enjoy the show, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. If you like it, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. See you next time.
So smash that subscribe button